Right now, there is a war going on at the US and Mexico border. A war that President Trump plans to win at all costs.
And it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels.
The US is sending troops to the border, cartel soldiers are firing at border agents, and soon that whole area will become a hotbed of unrest. Even with 10,000 Mexican troops joining the battle, the outcome is sure to be a power struggle on both sides. Having issues at the US-Mexican border is nothing new. It's been going on for years. However, over the past 4 years, it seems like things just keep escalating. The drugs coming into the US from Mexico is just getting more widespread. Due to the spread of these drugs and influxes and overdoses and drug-related deaths, it seems it's time to crack down on the border crisis. We now have fentanyl, which has caused many deaths already.
We are in the midst of the worst drug crisis in U.S. history. The drug is fentanyl, 50 times more powerful than heroin. Nearly all the fentanyl flooding into the U.S. is made in Mexico.
And if we don't do something to stop this, many more people will lose their lives. And before anybody says anything, not all of these deaths are from people who have knowingly taken it. Some of these people have been drugged against their will. Some have simply just picked money up off the ground that's been laced with fentanyl. There are innocent people being targeted as well as people who are knowingly taking the drugs and overdosing on them. And if we can put a stop to these drugs entering our country, it'll make it a lot harder, if not impossible, for people to get their hands on these drugs to begin with. So regardless of your stance on the border or even on President Trump, these drugs need to be stopped. And Trump knows this, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to make that happen. And drugs, they're not the only thing the border is and has been facing. You also have human trafficking going on across the border. Recently, a woman was stopped trying to cross the border with 2 children, and it turns out these children were drugged, probably to keep them quiet. This woman even had fake birth certificates for these 2 kids.
Authorities just rescued a child who had been heavily sedated by a trafficker. The trafficker was also carrying birth certificates for multiple children.
But luckily, Border Patrol agents caught on, and these 2 children were rescued and brought to safety. But how many young kids, women, and even men are drugged or even hidden in vehicles that don't get found? And if drugs and human trafficking isn't bad enough, we also still have people entering America illegally. Not all these people are fleeing from bad lives or the cartel. A lot of them are criminals coming into this country. They've even had trucks stopped at the border where they have found people hiding in gas tanks of vehicles just trying to get into America.
2 migrants were found in the gas tank of his 18-wheeler. Check this out. Trooper says they found 2 migrants hidden in the gas tank.
They literally built a human storage compartment using the gas tank of an 18-wheeler. I wonder how many people that are coming over to America who genuinely are trying to get here for a better life are dying inside gas tanks of 18-wheelers, backs of 18-wheelers, and things like that just trying to get here.
We expect to hear from Governor Abbott tomorrow afternoon about the discovery of smuggled migrants found dead in an 18-wheeler.
So clearly, they're going to try at any means to smuggle people over. When we secure the border, we're going to be taking billions out of the pockets of the cartel. And this, as you can imagine, isn't something that they're going to take lightly. However, when Trump vowed to finish the border wall, he also sent more troops to the border to help Border Patrol. They have been severely overwhelmed. And honestly, sending more troops to the border should have been done a long time ago, no matter who was the president. We should have secured our country's borders long before the problems escalated to this degree. I wonder how many children, men, and women could have been saved just from trafficking. And how many people could have been saved if these drugs had never been here in the first place. With Trump leading the charge, ICE has already arrested over 700 immigrants here illegally, and all 700 have criminal backgrounds. According to Tom Homan, the man who Trump appointed to head ICE stings and arrests, says that we have over 700,000 illegal criminals in our country. Not immigrants, but people with actual criminal backgrounds.
We got over 700,000 illegal aliens in this country with a criminal conviction.
And he said, despite people who are here illegally, right now their focus is to find the people who are criminals. Homan did say, however, that if someone is here illegally and is found to be with these criminals, they will also be taken as well.
76% of them are criminals. That's the target of the operation. Collateral arrests happen when we're looking for the bad guy, and we find others with him.
So it goes back to that guilty by association. I wish I could say that everyone here illegally is just looking for a better life and that American dream, but this isn't just an issue about people being here illegally. globally. It's about the criminals, the drug dealers, and the cartel. But thanks to Trump's tariffs, we've been able to start communications and negotiations with Mexico's president. Mexican President Claudia Sheinbaum agreed to send 10,000 Mexican troops to the border. This is going to help American troops and Border Patrol combat the illegal crossings and the movement of drugs, and to help fight the cartel, who are currently there trying to gain access back into the U.S. The U.S. also responded by sending even more troops to the border wall, where they've begun securing the border by putting up razor wire and finding areas that may not be quite as secure where they can secure it better to help combat the people coming over. All of this seems to be working thus far. We have gone from thousands crossing to just hundreds.
The Border Patrol chief is saying that the numbers have dropped by 91%.
Yeah, I mean, you guys will remember there were certain days when we saw 12,000 people crossing the border in a single day. Now we're seeing fewer than 600.
And hopefully soon, that number will just continue to drop. There was an incident not long ago where U.S. border agents arrested a cartel member, and right after that arrest, a bunch of other cartel members opened fire on the U.S. border agents that were at the scene. You can hear an array of gunfire going off. It's a situation that nobody wants to be in, but there are men and women that are putting their lives on the line every single day to try to secure our border. And all of that happened after a similar situation back in January, where Border Patrol agents were shot at near Fontaine, Texas.
Border Patrol agents near Fontaine, Texas were fired upon from Mexico by suspected cartel gunmen.
A group of cartel were trying to smuggle a group of illegals across the border using a river crossing.
A group of illegal aliens were being brought across the river,
where America lay just on the other side. Border Patrol returned fire, which deterred any further movement across the river, and in this situation, nobody made it across. And luckily in this situation, nobody was hit by gunfire either. But with so much violence, it's only a matter of time before somebody gets hurt or worse. We send out military men and women every day to secure the borders of other countries. It's long overdue that we send them to our own borders to keep our country safe. Millions of dollars of drugs have already been seized at the border, and probably millions more to come. Although we all know there's still some getting through, because the cartel will find any way possible to make that happen. The cartel, however, with all the presence of our military and the Mexican military, the cartel is getting desperate to find new ways to move their drugs now that the crackdown on the border has begun. Over $19 million in drugs were found in an 18-wheeler full of cucumbers and jalapenos trying to cross the border.
Officers intercepting more than $19 million worth of methamphetamine and $144,000 worth of heroin inside a shipment of cucumbers and jalapenos.
There's even been drugs found hidden in Target buckets, and some border agents have even found backpacks full of drugs just abandoned. And this really isn't uncommon. People cross the border with those backpacks on, and they'll take them to a drop point, and someone may then come and pick up those backpacks and take them out for distribution. The Border Patrol has seized over $473 million in drugs just since October. This is an amazing start to cleaning up the streets of all these drugs, but it has put a lot of U.S. border agents and military men and women's lives at risk. The cartel is now threatening to use drones equipped with explosives to fight back against the agents in the military. They have absolutely no regard for the loss of life that this will cause, only the profit that they'll make by getting their drugs across the border. The cartel is even going to lose money that they make from human trafficking and smuggling people across the border. It seems that they made over $13 billion last year just in smuggling people across the border.
It's estimated cartels made about $13 billion a year on human smuggling alone.
So as you see, Trump's crackdown on the border crisis is a great thing for America, but it's going to come at a cost as the cartel continues to fight back. Now, no war or fight is without risk, and the brave men and women that are fighting at the border, they all know this. But they also know how important it is to stop the cartel's flow of drugs and to rescue people from the human trafficking, that they're willing to put their lives on the line. This is so much bigger than just stopping illegal immigration, which seems to be all that everybody's talking about. But there's really something much bigger going on here, whether you truly open your eyes to see it or not. My heart goes out to everybody at the border fighting to keep America safe. If you like what you heard today and want to hear more news stories, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe.